Untitled Chapter game. Ah!
Hey, Tom.
Hi.
What are you doing?
I'm reviewing Metroid games.
Which one are you doing now?
Metroid Fusion.
Can I be in it?
Sure.
Cool.
Super Metroid is one of my favorite games of all time, so needless to say, I had incredibly high hopes for the sequel. Problem was, I wasn't going to see one for over 8 years. I was quite surprised that the Nintendo 64 was completely ignored in terms of any Metroid games, and while Samus does make an appearance in Super Smash Bros., it still wasn't a Metroid game. Eventually, I would find out through Nintendo Power magazine that the sequel to Super Metroid will be titled Metroid Fusion, and that it will be released for the Game Boy Advance. Who the hell is this? Is this Samus? Nah, it can't be, because the screenshot shows Samus in her power suit, along with this blue person. So what the hell is going on? Well, in 2002, I would soon find out.
Metroid Fusion begins with Samus once again traveling to planet SR-388. Upon surveying some caverns, Samus encounters the gelatinous parasite X. No, not that X. These are parasites that can mimic the appearance and memories of their host, effectively killing the original. After killing the original host, the parasite manages to infect Samus, who is completely unaware of it doing so. Upon going back to her ship, Samus loses consciousness, causing her ship to crash into an asteroid belt. Her escape pod is later recovered by the Galactic Federation. We receive that the infection has become a lot worse, with Samus giving a minimal chance of surviving. However, somebody managed to find a cure consisting of DNA from the baby Metroid. You see, the Metroids were actually the natural predators of the X-Parasites, and since Samus obliterated them all back in Metroid 2, they were able to replicate and spread throughout the planet.
Samus is given the cure and almost immediately recovers, but since her suit became so infected with the parasite, large pieces of it had to be surgically removed. So what we see here is pretty much what's left of the power suit, now called the Fusion suit. After recovering, Samus is sent to the Biologic Space Laboratories to investigate an incident involving an explosion. Not only does she get a new ship, but she's now accompanied by the ship's computer, which Samus names Adam after it reminds her of her former commanding officer, Adam Malkovich. After getting to the station, we see that the X-Parasites have completely infested the research station, wiping out everything that once was. Upon further investigation, we find out that Samus's infected pieces of her power suit have become an entity of its own, the Samus Aran X, or the SAX for short. Not only does it come with this incredibly creepy close-up, but it's mimicking Samus at full power. That alone makes it a serious threat. Now gameplay-wise, Metroid Fusion plays just about the same as Super Metroid. Samus can still shoot in all 8 directions, she can crouch, and her wall jump also makes a return. But unfortunately in this game, it's been nerfed. In Super Metroid, Samus only needed one wall in order to scale it. This was because you could immediately shift her momentum back to the wall right after kicking off it. But in this game, you can't shift Samus' momentum nearly as fast as before, and because of this, it's impossible to wall jump just using one wall. Not really a huge deal though, so it's nothing to get worked up about. New to this game is the ability to grab ledges and climb ladders. I actually really like the addition to grab ledges. It's something that certainly would have helped in the previous games.
Because Samus lost huge chunks of her power suit from the infestation, she's pretty much naked when you start, and incredibly vulnerable. I'm serious, enemies will do crap loads of damage to you when you start, so don't be surprised if you end up dying a lot. Unlike previous Metroid titles where you discover new power-ups and abilities by locating chosen statues, in this game you will need to either download new power-ups in data rooms, or defeat bosses that absorb their cores in order to obtain new abilities.
All the usual power-ups are back. Missiles, the morph ball bombs, the high jump, the jump ball, the speed booster, the various suit, the gravity suit, the space jump, and the... No, I'm not gonna say it.
Say what?
No, not gonna say it. I refuse. I'll just get that annoying echo that interrupts me.
John, we can't continue unless you say it.
They can read the video screen just fine.
What if they can't read English?
The screw attack. Oh, for the love of God! Your arsenal of beams are also back, but instead of the spacer beam, we now get the wide beam. From what I can tell, they're pretty much the same thing, only the wide beam shoots out rings, while the spacer shot out lasers. And like Super Metroid, you can hold on to every single beam power-up you collect. However, unlike Super Metroid, you can't choose which beam you want to use and turn off. The beams automatically stack up with each other, getting more powerful with each beam power-up you obtain. I couldn't really care, as long as I don't have to backtrack to other areas in order to switch beam weapons. It's also because of the Metroid DNA in her that she's unable to use the ice beam because of the Metroid's natural fear of cold. Instead, we now get ice missiles, which pretty much act like the ice beam anyway. The biggest change, however, is your form of progression. Non-linearity is gone. Completely. The station is broken up into 7 different sections, including the main area. Your computer buddy will always tell you where to go and what to do next. Now, you're free to explore different sections at your will, but most of the time you'll have a locked security door blocking your path or lack the special ability to resume your progress. However, while the computer may tell you where to go, it doesn't exactly tell you how to get there. That's up to you. Which I like, but as a whole I love the feeling of non-linearity more from the previous game. But I do find this form of linearity better than Metroid 2 though.
The bosses themselves are actually quite the sight to behold in this game. While some of them are pretty easy, there are some that can actually give you quite a challenge and...
What's he doing here? What the... Jesus! Well, actually, Ridley may look a hell of a lot more intimidating than before, but he's pathetically easy. And his shrieks get pretty damn annoying. But then again, it's not really Ridley, it's just an X-parasite mimicking him. Because of the cure she was given, Samus now has Metroid DNA in her cellular makeup. As such, whenever she touches a free-floating X-parasite, she'll absorb it, which can either refill her health or missiles. How exactly does absorbing a parasite refill your missiles? Secondly, the SAX is an exact replica of Samus in her power suit, but not only does it mimic the suit, but it also mimics its own missiles, beams, and power bombs. So it has the ability to mimic technology too? How? Parasites are organic life forms. I couldn't even begin to tell you that wouldn't—
John, it's a video game.
You're right.
Throughout your ventures, you'll cross paths with the SAX plenty of times. Sometimes you have to hide from it, while other times you have to run for your life. I gotta say, these moments were handled very well, because during my first playthrough, I always became incredibly tense whenever I heard those eerie footsteps and creepy background music. It also didn't help when the music became even more creepy when the SAX spotted you!
But continuing on with the story, yes, there's more. Samus eventually comes across a restricted area that secretly contains a Metroid breeding program. It turns out the baby Metroid's DNA was not only used to create a cure for Samus, but for creating replicas as well. Hell, they even went as far as creating Alpha, Gamma, and Zeta Metroids. But upon entering the area, the SAX soon follows and attempts to wipe out all of the Metroids, but it becomes quickly overpowered. Samus escapes the area just as it detaches itself from the station and explodes. However, the computer tells us that since the parasites are able to reproduce asexually, there's no fewer than 10 SAX aboard the ship. Jesus. We then find out that the Galactic Federation actually wants to preserve the X-parasites and discover their true potential, something that Samus wholeheartedly disagrees with. At this point, we find out that Samus' computer actually contains the mind of Adam Malkovich and proceeds to help Samus set the ship on a crash course to planet SR-388 before the Galactic Federation arrives. Samus encounters one of the SAX along the way and properly disposes of it, and by properly dispose, I mean absolutely ass rapes it. By the time you actually fight the damn thing, you're so juiced up with power-ups it stands absolutely no chance. Actually, it's pretty sweet vengeance. It's like taking out the boogeyman from your nightmares with a sledgehammer to his face. But after damaging it enough times, it mutates into this thing and becomes even easier. I didn't think that was possible. Upon killing it, the core of it flies away, you pussy. But anyway, Samus triggers the propulsion sequence and attempts to flee the station. However, upon getting to her ship's location, we see that the ship is nowhere to be seen. Well, what the hell? Where did it go? Hey, that shell thing looks familiar. No! No! Shoot! No! What in God's name? Wait, it's an Omega Metroid. But why is it so huge? The last time I fought one of these things, it was only slightly taller than Samus. You know what? Never mind. I'm gonna pump you full of nutritious missiles. Now stay still. God damn! One swipe took all of my energy! Oh, you gotta be kidding.
2 minutes.
Wait, what? Now, what did you think you were gonna accomplish there? Who cares? Mine?
By finally absorbing the SAX core, Samus regains the Ice Beam and her orange color. With the Ice Beam, we can now kill this thing by repeatedly shooting it into its chest.
It's funny when you think about it. The Ice Beam back in Metroid 2 did jack squat to Omega Metroids, but now it's their one weakness. You gotta love how scientists screw up genetics like that. After shooting it enough times, the Omega Metroid explodes and the ship returns, allowing Samus to escape the station just as it crashes into SR-388, effectively blowing up the station and the planet with it, along with the parasites. That's twice where a planet that Samus has visited exploded. So how does Metroid Fusion compare to its incredible predecessor? Actually, pretty damn well. Now I will go and say I like Super Metroid more, but there are a lot of things I love about Fusion. For one, I think Metroid Fusion is overall the better looking game. The different sections of the space station all have spectacular atmosphere, and the overall sprite quality and animation is superb. One thing I really love about this over Super Metroid, however, is its sound direction. This game, especially for the Game Boy Advance, sounds amazing. One of my favorite sounds is unloading a missile into an enemy's face. Delicious.
The soundtrack is also great, especially the boss themes. It's hard to not bob your head to some of them.
It may be obvious at this point, but one of the only negatives I have about this game is linearity. There's little to no exploration in this game at all. You know, something that defines the Metroid series. But because there's no exploration, this game is definitely more fast-paced than its predecessor, and that makes it even more fun to speedrun. Yeah, I love speedrunning Metroid games. Metroid Fusion is certainly more than worthy enough to be a sequel to one of my favorite games of all time. Its heavy focus on story and mission-based progression may turn off a few players, but as a video game, it's fantastic. Pick it up if you ever run into it, you won't regret it. Me and Elliot give it a 9.5 out of 10.
9.5!
So stay tuned next time as we wrap up Month of Metroid.
We're gonna review Metroid Zero Mission!
Get away from the damn camera!
Why'd you move me more videos?
Shut up and make some, you lazy ass!